Every morning presents us with a fresh start, a blank page on which to write the story of our day. When we sit before the Gohonzon and begin to chant Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, we are doing something far more profound than simply reciting words. We are actively choosing the direction our life will take for the next 24 hours. We are planting seeds in the garden of our mind that will blossom into thoughts, actions, and experiences as the day unfolds. Think about how you usually start your morning. Maybe you check your phone, scroll through messages, or immediately start worrying about everything on your to-do list. These habits shape our mindset before we even get out of bed. But when we begin our day with chanting, we're making a different choice. We're saying that before anything else pulls at our attention, we will first connect with our highest self and our deepest values. The Lotus Sutra teaches us that all people possess the Buddha nature within them. This isn't just a nice idea or spiritual poetry. It means that right now, inside you, exists the same wisdom, courage, and compassion that the Buddha himself embodied. Morning chanting is like turning on a light switch in a dark room. The room was always there, and so was everything in it. But without light, we couldn't see clearly. Chanting illuminates our inner Buddha nature so we can access it throughout the day. Nichiren Daishonin wrote, "When you chant the mystic law and recite the Lotus Sutra, you must summon up deep faith that Myoho Renge-kyo is your life itself." This statement reveals something essential about morning practice. We aren't chanting to something outside ourselves, seeking favor from a distant deity. We are awakening to the reality that the mystic law and our own life are one and the same. Each morning, we reaffirm this truth. Consider what happens in those moments when we first sit down to chant. Our mind might be racing with concerns about work, relationships, or problems we need to solve. We might feel tired, stressed, or unmotivated. But as we begin to chant, something shifts. The rhythm of Nam-myoho Renge-kyo creates a kind of mental reset. It's like pressing a refresh button on a computer that's been running too many programs at once. The wisdom we connect with during morning chanting isn't abstract or theoretical. It's practical wisdom that helps us navigate real-life situations. When we face a difficult conversation later that day, we might find ourselves responding with more patience than we usually would. When a challenge arises at work, we might see a creative solution we wouldn't have noticed before. This is the wisdom of the Gohonzon working in our lives. Nichiren Daishonin explained, "One should understand that at the moment of chanting Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, one's life is endowed with the 10 worlds, from hell to Buddhahood. What this means in everyday terms is that we all have the capacity for every possible life state within us. We can experience the suffering of hell, or the joy of Buddhahood, and everything in between. Morning chanting helps us establish Buddhahood as our foundation, making it easier to maintain higher life states, even when external circumstances try to drag us down. Setting our life direction in the morning is similar to a ship captain checking the compass before setting sail. The ocean might be calm or stormy. The wind might blow from different directions, but having that initial bearing gives us a reference point. We know where we're heading. When we chant in the morning, we set our internal compass toward our highest aspirations and values. What are those highest values? For each person, they might look slightly different, but they often include things like compassion, courage, wisdom, and the desire to contribute to others, happiness. The Lotus Sutra emphasizes the Bodhisattva path, which means dedicating our lives to helping all people become happy. When we chant in the morning, we can reconnect with this larger purpose. We remember that our life isn't just about getting through another day or checking off items on a to-do list. We have the potential to make a real difference in the world. The act of reminding ourselves of our aspirations every morning is more important than it might seem. Human beings are creatures of habit and routine. We tend to fall back into familiar patterns of thinking and behaving, even when those patterns don't serve us well. Maybe we have a habit of getting defensive when someone criticizes us, or perhaps we tend to procrastinate when faced with difficult tasks. These patterns feel automatic, almost involuntary. But morning chanting interrupts those automatic patterns. It gives us a moment to consciously choose who we want to be today. Nichiren Daishonin wrote, "Strengthen your faith day by day and month after month. Should you slacken in your resolve even a bit, devils will take advantage. This doesn't mean we need to be perfect every moment. It means that consistent daily practice builds spiritual muscle. Each morning's chanting makes us stronger and more resilient. When we face challenges throughout the day after chanting in the morning, something interesting happens. The challenge itself might not disappear, but our relationship to it changes. A problem that seemed overwhelming might suddenly feel manageable. A person who irritated us might seem more human, more worthy of compassion. This shift in perspective is one of the most practical benefits of morning practice. The Lotus Sutra contains a powerful passage about the Dragon King's daughter who attained Buddhahood instantly. This story challenges the idea that enlightenment requires special circumstances or vast amounts of time. It suggests that transformation can happen in a single moment when we tap into our Buddha nature. Every morning when we chant, we are accessing that same potential for immediate transformation. Think about the word direction for a moment. When we set our life direction in the morning, we aren't creating a rigid plan that we must follow no matter what. Life is too unpredictable for that. Instead, we're establishing an orientation, a general heading that guides our choices. If unexpected situations arise, and they always do, we have our morning practice as an anchor point. We can ask ourselves, how does this situation look from the perspective of my highest values? How would my Buddha nature respond? Nichiren Daishonin often emphasized the importance of practice over theory. He wrote, "Exert yourself in the two ways of practice and study. Without practice and study, there can be no Buddhism." Morning chanting is the practice that brings Buddhist theory to life. We might read books about compassion and wisdom, but chanting in the morning is what actually cultivates these qualities within us. The connection we make with wisdom during morning chanting isn't a one-time event. It's more like tuning a radio to the right frequency. Once we find that frequency in the morning, it's easier to return to it throughout the day. When we start to feel overwhelmed at work, we can take a deep breath and recall the feeling of calm we experienced during morning chanting. When we face a moral dilemma, we can tap into the clarity we accessed earlier. There's also something powerful about the physical act of chanting. It engages our whole being, our voice, our breath, our posture, our focus. This holistic engagement is important because human beings aren't just thinking machines. We are physical, emotional, and spiritual beings all at once. Morning chanting honors all these dimensions of who we are. The rhythm and sound of Nam-myoho Renge-kyo itself has significance. Nichiren Daishonin explained that these syllables represent the fundamental law of the universe. When we chant them, we are aligning ourselves with the rhythm of life itself. This might sound mystical, but think about how rhythm affects us in everyday life. Music can energize us or calm us down. The rhythm of our breathing influences our emotional state. The rhythm of chanting creates a kind of resonance between our individual life and the larger universe. Morning practice also creates continuity in our lives. Each day might bring different events and challenges, but the practice remains constant. This consistency becomes a source of stability, especially during turbulent times. When everything else in our life feels uncertain, we know we can sit before the Gohonzon and chant. This reliable anchor point helps us maintain our equilibrium no matter what storms we face. The Lotus Sutra teaches that all people can attain Buddhahood, regardless of their circumstances or background. This democratic vision of enlightenment is revolutionary. It means that the person struggling to pay their bills has the same potential for enlightenment as a wealthy business owner. The student facing academic challenges can access the same wisdom as a brilliant scholar. Morning chanting is the practical method through which we actualize this potential. When we chant in the morning, we are also performing an act of self-respect. We are saying, my spiritual development matters. My connection to my highest values is worth prioritizing, even when I'm busy or tired. In a world that constantly demands our attention and energy, carving out time for morning practice is a radical act of self-care. It's not selfish. It's essential. We can't pour from an empty cup. And morning chanting fills our cup so we have something to offer others. Nichiren Daishonin wrote, "The heart of the Buddha's lifetime of teachings is the Lotus Sutra, and the heart of the practice of the Lotus Sutra is found in the Never Disparaging chapter." This chapter tells the story of a monk who bowed to everyone he met, recognizing their Buddha nature. Morning chanting helps us develop this same vision. When we've spent time connecting with our own Buddha nature, it becomes easier to recognize it in others. The challenges we face throughout the day often trigger automatic reactions: fear, anger, desire, or aversion. These reactions aren't bad or wrong. They're part of being human. But they don't have to control us. Morning chanting creates a space between stimulus and response. When something triggers us later in the day, we have a split second to choose how we'll respond. Will we react from fear, or can we respond from wisdom? That choice becomes available because of the foundation we built in the morning. Setting our life direction in the morning also means clarifying our intentions. What do we hope to accomplish today? How do we want to show up in our relationships? What kind of energy do we want to bring to our work? These aren't just practical questions. They're spiritual ones. Our intentions shape our actions, and our actions create our reality. By consciously setting positive intentions during morning chanting, we're programming ourselves for success. The guidance that comes through during morning practice isn't always dramatic or obvious. Sometimes it's subtle. A gentle nudge to call a friend we've been thinking about, a quiet knowing about which task to prioritize, a softening of our judgmental attitude toward ourselves or others. This guidance is the voice of our inner wisdom, the Buddha nature speaking to us. The more we practice, the better we become at recognizing and following this guidance. Nichiren Daishonin taught that faith, practice, and study are equally important. Morning chanting embodies all three. We express faith by sitting before the Gohonzon and chanting. We engage in practice through the physical act of reciting Nam-myoho Renge-kyo. We study by reflecting on the meaning of our practice and how it applies to our daily life. This threefold path becomes our morning ritual, preparing us for whatever the day brings. There's also something to be said for the cumulative effect of morning practice over time. One morning's chanting is beneficial, but the real transformation happens through consistent daily practice. It's like exercising a muscle or learning a skill. Each repetition builds on the previous one, creating lasting change. Over months and years, morning chanting reshapes our character, our habits, and our life circumstances. The wisdom we access through chanting isn't limited to our personal concerns. The Lotus Sutra emphasizes universal compassion and the interconnectedness of all life. When we chant in the morning, we can expand our prayers to include others, family members, friends, even people we've never met who are suffering. This expansion of our compassion is both the cause and effect of our spiritual development. Morning chanting also helps us face our shadows, the parts of ourselves we'd rather not acknowledge. Everyone has negative tendencies, weaknesses, and fears. When we sit before the Gohonzon, these aspects of ourselves might arise. Rather than running from them, we can chant about them, through them, and ultimately transform them. The Gohonzon is like a mirror that reflects our whole being, not just the parts we're proud of. Nichiren Daishonin wrote, "It is the heart that is important." This simple statement cuts through all complexity and gets to the essence of practice. When we chant in the morning, the most important thing isn't perfect pronunciation or long duration. It's the sincerity of our heart, our genuine desire to grow and contribute. The Gohonzon responds to our sincere seeking, helping us find the wisdom we need. As our day unfolds after morning chanting, we might encounter situations that test us. Someone might say something hurtful, or we might face a setback in our goals. These moments are opportunities to apply the wisdom we connected with in the morning. Can we respond with compassion instead of anger? Can we see the situation as a chance for growth rather than a disaster? Our morning practice gives us the tools to make these choices. The relationship between morning chanting and daily life is circular. We chant in the morning to prepare for the day, then we use our daily experiences as material for deeper practice. The challenges we face show us where we need to strengthen our faith. The victories we achieve confirm the power of the practice. Everything becomes part of our Buddhist practice when we maintain this awareness. Finally, setting our life direction each morning through chanting is an act of hope. It's a declaration that we believe in our potential for growth and transformation. It's a statement that despite all evidence to the contrary, despite our past failures and current limitations, we trust in the power of the mystic law to help us become our best selves. This hope isn't passive wishing. It's active faith backed by concrete practice. Each morning, we renew this commitment. And each morning, we take another step forward on the path to enlightenment.